Hello, lovelies. How are you today? It is Thankful Thursday. Come on in and hang with me for a second. I promise you, I will not be long because it sounds like the verses is going on tonight and everybody gonna be there. So I just don't want to hold the peoples up, okay? You hear me? So I'm gonna get on about the way, but I still got something to talk about. Let's talk. How was your day? Let me know how you've been feeling this week. If you had anything exciting going on, any great news. I think I'm gonna bring back, I kind of miss being on here so much because some days I would have it where people could tell me what's going on with them, and I don't want to miss that. So you guys can always tell me what's up with you because I'm interested. I really am. I told y'all, I'm real happy with talking to myself, so I don't have to get on here to just talk for my own benefit, but I do want to help the people's kid, so if I could say something that might be helpful. And of course, my son's school calls, auto call right at the time I start my live, wouldn't it be? All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and start. I don't see anybody in here yet. Hey, Julia, girl, how are you? Sorry, I don't always see when y'all come right in. Yeah, so I posted an article earlier, not an article, but I posted a funny video from Kev on Stage. And he actually was showing a video of a lady who, a college age girl was playing a prank on her mom. And she told her that, she didn't like how her mother treated her that day or how she was ignoring her. And the mother's response was, "Really? I did that to you? I'm so sorry. That's not what I meant. Oh, honey, come here." And she gave her a hug and she was super apologetic about it. And Kev on Stage went on to talk about how, listen, if it was my house, it'd be first of all, I'm taking the trash out. This is what you gonna do, and I'm gonna ask you how I made you feel. That none of that's gonna happen in our households. And I think he was, of course, attempted to make a joke, and it was funny for what it was worth. But see, I don't know about y'all, but I'm a comment reader. So when I watch a video or if I read an article, I really go and watch the comments. Hey, D'Angelo. And so for me, as funny as it might have been, I went into the comment section and I started reading what people were saying. This one girl said, "Dag, I wish I could have grew up and got that type of response from my parents." And although it was a funny video, it stirred up a good conversation about how those type of things happen in the parental relationships. Hey, Mom. And it was so interesting because I think conversations are good. You learn a lot from conversations. Some people are "Oh, don't talk about all that. It's not necessary. That's the past." But I think it's important to talk about these type of social constructs that are invisible. Things that are just things that we say, or these are things that we're used to and that we kind of abide by without them actually being written on the wall. And so it was really interesting to watch the reaction. And I guess because it's probably why I'm going to psychology, I find it super interesting how people react to things. Maybe that's sociology. Whatever it is, I find it very interesting how people react to things, what type of things prompt a response from people. So me reading the comments, it does it for me. For no matter what it is, no matter how harsh it is, I like how I actually have a study of being able to see how people look at it and how it's affecting them as a whole, and have a good understanding of if it's a touchy subject or not. And so, like I said, somebody said, "Oh, I wish my mother would have done that for me." Then I heard someone say, "Hey, this is actually something that is what healthy relationships look like. We may make fun of it, but this is something that we need to do more, so we don't silence the voice of our children, And when I put a post up earlier that was talking about this, I made sure that I put the PSA up that, this is not to criticize in any way, form, or fashion any upbringing anybody's had. That's not the point of it all. And I think sometimes people get that confused because they believe that, oh, it's a bashing. No, it's more so to say, hey, if we don't, like they said, if you don't know your history, if you don't study your history, you're going to repeat it. Guaranteed, not asking, but it's going to happen. So you need to understand why things happen to understand how to move forward in a more positive way. And so, in examining that, I know a lot of people were saying, oh, well, and I had a couple of ladies I tagged, and they were talking about how, how they view it. And it was a great view. And I know a lot of times people talk about what they do with their kids or how they feel like kids should have a voice. And I believe that's what I wanted to talk about. But I want to talk about another layer to that. Like, I'm about to shoot to the right. But I want to read your comment, Julia. You said, I feel like what that mom did was a great way to show a strong relationship with her child. Yes, Julia. Like, it was a very, like, without the joking, I think we laugh at what we don't know. You know what I'm saying? And don't get me wrong. Look, this is nothing against Kev on stage because he's a comedian. This is what he's supposed to do. And I'm not offended by it in the least bit. I am saying that it's sad because we don't see enough of it like this. And I think that there are a lot of factors that are included with that, right? You have people that a lot of times come from single family households, or if they not come from single family household, they can come from impoverished background where the parents were working all the time and stressed all the time, multiple kids, all these factors that did not necessarily allow for that type of, response. Hey, Mimi girl, how are you? I missed you this weekend. I wish we could have came because everything that was going on. No, we couldn't, but love you. But, the reality of it is how most of our households wouldn't probably have had that same type of reaction. And it's not about that. It's not about coddling a kid. It's not about giving them their way. It's about understanding the undertones from how we look at the relationship between the personal autonomy, right? And if you don't know what personal autonomy is, it's just the idea of, yeah, your child is your child and they owe you some respect. But in that same breath, they are a person. They are not property. And, we used to joke about it and say all the time, like, I've said it to my son. Look, I'm not going to front. I've said it to my son many times. I brought you in this world. I'll take you out. If you disrespect me, if it's you or me, it's me. I mean, if it's you or me, I'm going to choose me. Meaning, if he rises up against me and he calls himself want to put his hands on me, then, But, and I don't take that back. Okay. And that's a difference. It's the difference between telling your child, hey, I'm not scared of you and you're not going to beat me up. But it's another thing to say, you know what? I also tell them in the same breath, I love you. I hear you. I gave him a voice. I allowed him to say how he felt about things. And although sometimes it felt like, I don't know why I did that, I am appreciative of that now. Because now, as he's about to be 18, I see the leader in him. I see his strong, independent thinking. I see his critical thought. I see how he will actually share something with me, no matter if he feels like he's going to get in trouble or not. Hey, Lamonte. And it's like, it's very refreshing to know that me opening the door, he walks through it. Me opening the door, even if he doesn't always agree with how I'm doing things, he knows he's heard. He has his own body. He knows that, I respect him as a person. Yes, he still has to respect my household, but overall, he's a person. And I respect him on that level. And that's hard for us because I think we always trying to balance that, hey, you're going to respect me in my house thing versus what the reality of it is that our kids are not property, right? And I know sometimes that triggers some people, and I don't know why, because I think that if you put yourself back into your shoes when you were a kid, and although you didn't know a lot, I think we also have this whole idea that, oh, the older you are, you're the wiser. Listen, I learn from kids regularly now. And if you can be honest, you can learn from anybody, right? And I've learned that that's not how I used to feel, but now I do. I used to be like, oh, with age comes wisdom, and wisdom, mostly you can say somebody that's older has a lot more wisdom, and that's not always true, as we know, right? So when they say out of the mouth of babes, right? Out of the mouth of babes, comes the wisdom. So we have to be really careful how we honor our kids. And I know sometimes you think that word honor and it sounds crazy, but I don't even want to go totally spiritual. But if you want to go there, like, God says he knew our kids before they were in our wombs, which means that before they belonged to us, he knew them, which means they belong to him, which means we're just looked at as a shepherd to guide them while they're here. And so if that's the case, we really have to be careful with that ownership thing, right? Sorry, I'm just throwing a lot of things out here, but I have a pivot to go to about it as well, because once we get this whole thing about, destroying the thought process about what it was, and a lot of times it's because, that's why I said hand-me-downs, because a lot of times when you ask people why they're doing things, well, this is how my mama did it, and this is how her own mama did it, and look how we turned out. We survived, didn't we? We had y'all, didn't we? And I think that is, although it's true, I think we have to be very careful, because surviving and thriving are two different things. Surviving and thriving are two different things. Just because you survived does not mean you were thriving. Just because you existed doesn't mean you were living your best life. And I think sometimes we have such this struggle mentality that we can't see the idea of just because you made it through by the skin of your teeth doesn't mean that that's the way it was meant to go. And if there's something that can make us better, why not try to implement those things, right? Shouldn't our kids be better than us? Shouldn't we be better than our parents? Isn't that the goal? That's what you want, right? My son is smarter than me. He's going to be. His brain is already so inquisitive. He has this mind where he just thinks of all type of stuff, and sometimes it gets on my nerves. I'm not going to lie here. It gets on my nerves. But I recognize and I tell him, you're so much smarter than, I let him know you're a leader. You are intelligent. You would use it for good. You're not getting over on me. It's on you if that's what you want to use it for. But I'm trying to help him funnel and use that. But he is smarter than me. He's smarter than what I was at his age. And so that's where sometimes as parents, we have to be careful how we use that and how we look it out, and how we handle it and deal appropriately with each child, because each child is different, right? Okay, so that's where I want to go. Julie, I want to read your comment. You said the title of this conversation says it all. Don't pass down your hand-me-down emotions, situations to your kids. Just like my mother and my relationship isn't like that, I could be the one to make the shift and change that. Listen, Julie, that's what it's all about. Like, the reality of it is we really have to stop the ball somewhere. And it doesn't, and how some people say, when you eat a meal, what do they say? Eat the meat, spit the bones out, right? Meaning, you take what you like and then what you don't like, spit that out. And I think that's part of what I'm saying. But the other part of it is, guess what? It's okay. And it's not just okay. It's necessary for you to look back to your past. It is not a dishonorable thing. I need to keep saying this because I think some people, especially in the Black community, we get this idea that if you want to look back at your household growing up situation, and if you go to therapy, that's the first thing they tell you to do. The very first thing, I'm gonna help you out. When you go to therapy, I am in. The first thing they tell you to do, they want you to talk about how you were raised. And the reality is that has so much to do with how we act and operate, because a lot of the things that we gained are in these younger developmental years. And we carry on those things way longer than we actually believe we do. Most things that happen to people is not something that happened recently. I mean, there are situational things, but most foundational things are developed at a very young age, which means in your family setting. So when you go to therapy, that's the first thing they ask you. And you have to be open. You have to be willing to go into that Pandora's box. And I think sometimes as a Black community, we say, oh, well, Big Mama did the best she can do. And, so-and-so did all they can, because we know the struggle. We know how hard it was. Sometimes they raised up kids by themselves. Sometimes they didn't have much. All the different things. I mean, we're only about 4 or 5 generations from slavery. It's not hard. I don't even know if we've a full 4, maybe 3. And so we know all the struggles, and because of that, we try to protect our family, and rightfully so. And we have a lot of compassion for what they went through. But I think in that same thing, it's okay. It's not mutually exclusive. You can say, I honor my parents. They did an amazing job. I honor my grandparents. They were the strongest person I ever met. And you can also say, but some of the things that maybe that they did and how they did them were not as healthy as possible. Some of those things might have been a little toxic, and they have possibly been something that was passed down from even how we thought, how we operated in slavery. And the reality is, anybody that is Black, like I said, you are suffering or have suffered, depending on if you're going through therapy or not, a form of PTSD, which is post-traumatic stress disorder, which means that you have been through something, or you are being, or generationally have been a direct impact, sometimes indirect impact of something that's happened that has been traumatic. Right? And if I know nothing else about your background, if you are at all Black at all, you're descendant of slavery, right? And that alone means we are all suffering from PTSD. Now, I'm not making this a black and white thing. So anybody who's not Black, I'm not like, stay on, because it's not just for Black people, but I'm speaking about that because the stigma in the Black community is still very, very, very ridiculous for going to therapy, and they don't believe they need it, right? Or they don't believe we need it. So when I talk about this, I'm saying that if we all have something if we all have to be able to say, I respect and I honor my parents, my grandparents for the sacrifices they made, and our ancestors. But there is also some things that were passed down that was negative that we probably don't even realize or see, because guess what? It's just been what we known. It's just being what we say, what we're part of, and we make jokes about it. You know how crazy Auntie so-and-so is, or you know how so-and-so, she just don't want nobody around, but that's just how she is. Like, it's enough of that. The whole idea of that's just how someone is. It's toxic. It's dysfunctional. And you can still love a person and recognize that their actions are toxic and dysfunctional. You can still love your family and say the way that we operate is toxic and dysfunctional. It doesn't mean you love them any less. It doesn't mean that you can even include yourself. Like I tell them, listen, I have been in many toxic and dysfunctional cycles and relationships with people. It's okay. You're not a bad person for saying that. I don't love that person any less because I was in a relationship with them that was toxic. Even people who I'm currently in relationship with, if their behaviors are toxic and dysfunctional, me pointing them out does not mean that I'm attacking them, nor does it mean that I don't like them or love them, nor does it mean I don't acknowledge my own toxic and dysfunctional nature. I wish more people would want to watch this, because I believe this is the conversation that needs to happen. And we need to talk about that. Sometimes people get offended quicker because they think that the finger is pointing. And I always believe it. The way you stop pointing the finger is for you to first say, hey, this is my part of it. Like anything I say, I'll tell you how it affects me. I'll tell you what I've done. You know what I'm saying? It's certain things I've noticed even in raising my son that I've caught myself doing, like, whoa, where did that come from? And I had to address it because that was me. I did that. But more importantly, beating myself up. Where did it come from? You cannot fix something that you don't know what the root is. So that's why I wanted to talk about this today, because that video, it brought up a lot of memories. A lot of people were talking, and I started to see that this is not just a few families thing. This is a lot of us, and it's not just a Black family thing. This is like all over. A lot of us have had some type of traumatic situation. A lot of us come from slightly dysfunctional family, or our family might be good, but we have certain things that we do that's dysfunctional. It's certain things that we do that's toxic. Like, okay, y'all want to know what certain things are. Let me help y'all. If you ever had a family member and when they walk in, you was like, wow, you gained a lot of weight. You don't want to go get you another plate or two, do you? If you've ever said that, that's dysfunctional, fam. That's toxic. And it's a little mean. Okay? Yep. It's okay. Just don't do it no more. You thought it was a joke. And especially if you laughed out there, I'm just playing with you, girl. You wear it good. Yeah, no, that was nice. That's toxic, okay? Or if you're somebody that somebody say, oh, you see somebody that's real thin, oh, you lost a lot. Oh, girl, you wasting away now. Oh man, what's wrong with you? Yeah, that's not nice either. That's toxic. You probably wonder why people don't like to be around you. That's not cool either. Or when somebody come and first thing you say is, oh, why, baby, why you not married yet? What's wrong with? How long I got to wait for a grandbaby? How long I got to wait for a grandnephew or something? Sis, please don't do that. That's not cool. Yep, it's toxic. And you don't know any better. You don't think anything of it. But yeah, it's something that we do often, and you wonder why certain people don't want to be around. I think we have to talk about these things. It's necessary, and everybody's always uncomfortable. I get it. So let me be the person to talk about the uncomfortable things. It's all right. We're going to get through this, y'all. We're going to get through it. We really are. Because I think that the more you talk about it, the more you put it out there, and I believe you have to, in order to heal it, you have to reveal it. You have to be able to reveal the dysfunction of a thing in order to heal it. And if you're not willing to reveal it, then guess what happens to things that's in secrecy? They stay in the dark, and they fester, and they only get worse. Okay? So, and like I was saying, it's not just, hey, Jamie, it's not just parental-child relationships. What you don't get about this that makes it so funky is that it spills over into all of your relationships. It spills over into your friendships. It spills over to your spousal relationships and or romantic relationships. It spills over into your colleague relationships and how you interact with the people at your job and or if you have a business, and especially if you have people under you. And it spills over to any relationships you have with any other social groups. And I know you say, well, Paris, you're going too far. No, I'm not. Because guess what? If you had, let's say you felt stunted as a child. Let's say you feel like you couldn't talk as a child. As far as like when you try to talk, they wouldn't let you. They wouldn't listen to you. You feel unheard. Whether it was true or not, let's just say that's what you feel. That's your reality. Guess what happens? That's a form of rejection that you have, okay? Whether you want to acknowledge it or not, I'm helping y'all. Free counseling today. Not a therapist, by the way. Yet. Not yet. That's a form of rejection. And if you have that form of rejection, I guarantee you that rejection plays out in every piece of your life. I'm not asking you. I'm telling you, it does. It does. You don't even see it. But guess what? If we talk to the people that deal with you regularly, be like, yeah, sis, yeah. You operate like it. You want me to give you some examples? Okay. Here's a case of you, if you deal with not being heard or seen. It can manifest in some ways, a few different ways. Like one of the ways is that if you have to be like real showy and real like, in people's face and like, I need to be the center of attention all the time. And it's not just because it's just like you feel like it's almost like it's forced. If that's you, it's probably because you didn't feel seen or heard when you were younger. I mean, and again, this is not exclusive. It doesn't have to mean that, but it probably does. I mean, it can be one of the ways it shows up. Or, insecurity, deep insecurity. If somebody didn't feel seen or heard, it makes them shrink down even lower. And so now they are insecure about everything. They're insecure about their looks. They're insecure about their voice. They're insecure about if they're smart or not. They're insecure about tons of things. And therefore, they shrink. And they move to the back and they really don't want to be noticed. And they talk very softly. If you notice someone like that, they probably have dealt with some rejection or have dealt with the fact that they haven't felt seen before, right? Hey, Stephanie. And so, these are just some examples. It doesn't mean that's it. I'm just giving examples of how things could show up. Because I think the way that we get past things is for us to stop saying, oh, that's not me. That's not me. It couldn't be possibly me. Maybe that's you. And the reality is what's more healthy, is to realize that all of us have some pieces of these small fragments even, right? All of us have experienced certain things. I don't believe that there's a person alive who's not ever dealt with some rejection. And it's okay. Rejection is a normal part of life. The issue is if you carry the fear of rejection, right? If you get to the point where you've been rejected so much, you didn't really know how to process that thing, and it shows up in every piece of your life. right? So what are we talking about? Let me tie it back in. We're talking about hand-me-downs and how growing up is certain things that you've gotten from your family life, from your family systems that you have that might not be the best to keep. And the only way you can know that is by you actually looking into it and actually dissecting it and looking to see how things can, if they're not conducive, if they're not positive, then how can we make it better? And then also realizing this is not just for like the parental child, but it will spill over. If you don't deal with these things like rejection, fear of success, all those different things, if you don't really deal with that stuff that came from when you were younger, I guarantee it's spilling over into your personal life, in all your relationships. I guarantee you. It's probably, like I said, even that whole thing of rejection. That's why some people have issues with like applying for jobs that they know they're skilled for, because they don't want to hear the possibility of no. That's how some people don't even approach somebody that they're attracted to, because they're scared they might say no. And that fear is overwhelming and paralyzing. So much so that they legit don't move. I know so many people that literally are just stuck because they're so scared to move forward. So, I hope that helped. I hope that I was clear and what I was talking about when I talk about hand-me-downs. And again, this is not I want to, again, give my disclaimer. This is not an attack against the way anybody was raised, because, God, mind you, kids don't come with a handbook. No matter how ready you think you are for children, the reality is that you still have different children. You don't know how they're going to act. You don't know how they're you can have 5 different children. They're going to be 5 different personalities, and they need to be dealt with in 5 different ways. And so it's no book for it. Not only is that a book, but it's also you do the best you can, right? And let's think about it. We all are human. None of us are super people. And y'all know I'm so against the superwoman thing, because we do that. Women, we think we have to be 17 things at once. And if we're not, we beat ourselves up. And the reality is we're human. We do the best that we can. And so the idea of this, you got to be every woman thing is really crippling. And I'll be the last person to bash another woman. But what I will say is that it's okay to say, like I've had to say it. I know I haven't always parented Makai in the best way. Not because I didn't love him, and I don't believe I've ever abused him on purpose, nor do I believe that I've ever been unnecessarily harsh. But I will say this, I have caught myself in moments where I'm like, wow, that was a little excessive. And guess what? You know how hard it is to go back and apologize? It's very hard, but guess what? It's also very necessary. And so, it's one of those things where you have to realize even things that because we're human and we're not perfect, there are going to be things that we do that are not healthy. And so if I acknowledge it in me, then I can do my part to try to fix it and then make sure I don't pass it on to him. That's all I'm asking, is that we all look into ourselves, because everybody's so quick about, oh, I can't believe she parent her children like that. I can't believe he deal with his kids like that. I can't believe so-and-so, this is how she handles this work situation, or whatever it is. And we're so quick to look at and find fault in how people handle things. But if we're really honest, and if we're really good about being self-aware, and if we want to grow and we want to be better, the best part is to turn that mirror on you and to be able to say, you know what? Okay, that's ugly. That's not cool. I really wish, y'all heard of the Truman Show? I really wish we could take videotape of ourselves and on a daily basis and watch our interactions. And I think that if we were able to sit back and watch it with an unbiased group, we would see how toxic some of the things we do is. Because the thing is, you don't see it while you're in it. You don't recognize it while you're in it. But if you get around a different group of people who don't even know you and they were to see how you act, you'd be surprised. They'd be like, and then it will make you think about it, wait, this is not normal? This is not how everybody does it? Which is why therapy is great. Y'all must think, Paris, do you actually have a therapist yet? I mean, that you're promoting, and I don't. It's just the idea. I have a therapist I go to, but I'm not promoting. I'm promoting it because I think that I've recently realized that is really great tool for us to get mentally healthy. And I'm really all about us being the best version of ourselves that we can be. So I'm just always going to advocate for that. Okay. So, that's about it. I think I got out what I wanted to say. Like, I hope this was helpful to anybody, to you all. I hope that you got what I was saying. I hope nobody was offended. But if you were, I hope you really hear my heart versus anything that's super critical, because it's not critical. This is just saying, hey, like, let's be better versions of ourselves. I want to be a better Paris than I was a month ago. I want to be a better Paris than I was yesterday. And so I don't have enough time to criticize you when I'm actually critiquing the last version of me. And not in a negative way, but in a better way. I want to be good. Listen, at my job, I'm quality control. Y'all ever heard of QA, quality control? And so quality control, QQC, well, whatever. Their job, quality control, their job is to go over things and make sure that it's up to standard, and they review it and they critique it. That's their job. If they come back without a critique, it's kind of looked frowned upon. We want to know anything that could possibly be wrong with it. And that's what you should be doing every day or month or whatever, however you do it, with the actions of you from yesterday, to be able to say, you know what, because you want to always be on the growth side of things, right? You want to be able to say that I'm growing and that I can acknowledge something that was bad in the yesterday. If you look back at yourself and you say there's nothing you ever did wrong, there was nothing that could have ever been better, if you don't even have a critique of you from last year, I don't care how old you are. If you don't have a critique of yourself at all, like you can't find anything you do wrong or did wrong or do wrong, yeah, you're not self-aware, because we're human. We're all fallible. There's something we all do wrong. And until you can be honest about that, you can't go further. You just won't be able to, because the first step is to acknowledge it. So I hope that helps. Y'all know me. I'm here to try to, give some different perspectives. We're going to have these talks, one conversation at a time, because guess what, y'all? We're going to be healthy. We're going to be healthy emotionally, mentally, physically, financially, all of those things. We're going to live our best lives, because why not? Like, why not? After 2020, listen, you better live your best life. And if you're around me, I'm going to make sure of it. Why? Because you are enough. You already know it's going to put it in there. My plug is always in there. You are enough to take yourself seriously. You're enough to look at yourself and critique so you can be the best version of you possible. You're enough to invest in you so that correcting your past version of you to correct your present version of you will allow you to get to that future amazing version of you that's coming. That's why you have to do it. In order to get there, you got to clean up this. Clean up on aisle 7, okay? I'm going to put that on a shirt. There you go. Listen, y'all, I be coming up with this stuff. Clean up on aisle 7. In order for us to get out the grocery store to our next amazing venture, we got to clean up on aisle 7. Let's get it in, okay? I love you all. I hope you have an amazing day. Y'all know it's Thursday, so that means the weekend is coming up. Please do something nice for yourself. I don't know. Go get a massage. I don't even know if they're shut down completely or not yet. Or go ahead and take a nice bath, read a nice book, go ahead and listen to some music, put a candle on, burn that candle you've been waiting for, whatever you need to do. Do something nice for yourself and enjoy the weekend. And I will see you Tuesday. I have some exciting news coming up, guys. I know you're like, oh, she keeps saying that. I really want you to know that there's some new stuff going on, and it's pretty cool. So I'll share soon. All right. Love you all.